What's up, everybody? I just finished another Nightmare Room book. This is Full Moon Halloween, and I really enjoy this cover. I think the werewolf hand coming out of the jack-o'-lantern is really perfect. I think that the werewolf hand could have been used for anything, though, because they're just like a regular monster hand, but it still looks cool. So I was excited to show this book off because I'm going to start over here. If you look at the very top left corner, you'll see a 0.59 cents. All right. That's what I paid for this when I got it at Goodwill a number of years ago. I'm talking maybe 11 or 12. I got this book. And I didn't even know anything about the Nightmare Room series. I never read it. I was more focused on finishing Goosebumps at the time. This book has some edging damage on it, which is fine. You know, it's an older book. I think published around the 2000s, a little bit after the original Goosebumps run. But the reason I kept this book for so long is because, you know, I focus on everything. But another reason that I discovered last year was I'm going to take this book down here and I'm going to flip it open. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, you already know. But this book is signed by R.L. Stine. And again, I've had this book for years, and I just realized it was signed by R.L. Stine last year. So that's ridiculous. It says Logan on there, too, if you guys didn't pay attention. But my name is not Logan. But if I close my eyes and squint, kind of pretend, it looks like my name. So the story itself is good, too. So I don't know if it's just a Halloween season coming up or just that thing being signed by R.L. Stine, but I had a feeling this book was going to be good, and it was. A lot of people told me this book was good, or a few people. Well, mainly one. It was mostly spongy, but this book was great. I really like it. Probably one of my... I think it's an underrated werewolf book and an underrated Halloween story. I mean, the Halloween vibes are here. This is a strong... I mean, it's crazy because all of the books I've read during Halloween, like, I wanted some Halloween stuff, and you get, like, a little bit. Even, like, Zombie Halloween and... what are some other Halloween ones? Like The Haunter takes place during Halloween, I think. Different books like that, the newer era of Goosebumps. They don't have the same Halloween flair as they did as a kid, and that's understandable. But this one had a lot. Like, I mean, the jack-o'-lanterns on the front porch or inside the house or the streamers. Okay. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with the review. The story starts off with Tristan, Bella, Rose, and Ray. Ray likes to pretend that he's a wrestler. He calls himself Stone Cold Steve Ray. And it's very funny because he has, like, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm a big wrestling fan, so I know about my wrestlers a pretty good bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and spoil what his costume is because he dresses as a wrestler with, like, little tights and all this stuff. And he has, like, a bunch of tattoos all over his arm. And he pretends to be Stone Cold. I don't think Stone Cold has that many tattoos. I could be wrong, but yeah. It was a little, you know, cringy if you're a wrestling fan. But it was good. It was still fun, you know, whatever. I'm going to let that slide because that's, like, the least amount of our plot in our story. So the four kids, they're going home, and they're coming home from school. They just got through helping Mr. Moon, their teacher, with a science experiment. He invited them after school to help, you know, and all this good stuff. And so they're leaving. They're talking about him a little bit because he's a little weird. And they start talking about these wolf attacks that happened in their town. And as they're talking, one of the kids starts, like, howling like a wolf, you know, and stuff like that. And this kid pokes his head out, and he tells them to be careful. And they turn around, and they're like, who is that? And it's Mr. Moon's son, Michael Moon. Okay. So that's a little weird. So they leave. Tristan goes to his house. He gets a letter in the mail. The letter is an invitation to a Halloween party. And he's a little disappointed because he wants to go trick-or-treating. This is like his last year that he can go trick-or-treating, which I really think is unfair. Why is Halloween age restricted, you know? Like, there's adults that like to go trick-or-treating, you know? But anyway, I digress. So he gets this letter. It invites him to a Halloween party. His mom talks him into going, and then just kind of leaving like an hour later, which is basically what I do when I go to parties. So anyway, he gets invited to this party, and one thing too, when he opens up the envelope, it sparks, which is cool. So he goes to school the next day. He asks his friends if they got invitations, and his 3 other friends, the main friends, they say that they do, but no other kids on the school bus or anything like that got invitations. So he thinks it's kind of weird, kind of sketchy. He's thinking maybe Michael Moon invited some friends because they just started. Michael Moon and the teacher, Mr. Moon, just started this school. So maybe they're inviting kids from another school. So when they get there, they notice they are the only 4 people there. And this is about where I'd probably leave. Before they get there, there is a quick change of pace, change of point of view thing with Mr. Moon. And he's telling his wife, Angela, to press the buttons that behind their bookshelf. And behind their bookshelf is these little switches that locks the doors and locks the windows. And it keeps people from escaping. And he says he doesn't want any kids to escape this year. So this is going to be weird. I knew it was going to be weird when that happened. They get to this Halloween party thing, and he notices he's the only one there, and Mr. Moon cuts to the chase. He says that he invited you 4 here because he thinks that one of you is a werewolf. And he says he's never been wrong before. He says one of you is a werewolf. And he said that he's got a bunch of party games to decide who is the werewolf. And I'm not going to tell you what the party games are. I really do. But I think you should go in this book not knowing because it is so gross and so weird. There's certain things that are just messed up. One thing they do, if you'd done it in real life, you would be in the hospital. And I don't know if you'd live. So yeah, there's that. That's really all I'm going to say about it. They have to do all these weird party games that are just like really gross. I'm not even going to say, okay, so they have to do with animal parts, and that's all I'm going to say. There is a reference to werewolf skin in this book, which I thought was cool. I will tell you, he's got this crate that he brings up, and he opens it up, and these little hedgehog-like creatures run out, and they got little spikes on them and all that. And I was hoping, silly me, I was hoping that it was going to be like, these are called the Gronks. If you're a big Goosebumps fan, you know what I'm talking about. But they're not. They're called Plogs, Plogs. And what they are, they're basically little hedgehogs that if you're a werewolf, it'll bite you. And it'll know that you're a werewolf. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, they come from Polynesia or whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was I'm pretty sure that was just mostly an R.L. Stine thing. You just, added on to some stuff that can find werewolves. And it didn't really interfere with the already made-up werewolf lore. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, this book was great. My review isn't going to do this thing justice because I honestly think you should just read it. This may be my favorite book in the series. I'll have to think. There's a book called They Call Me Creature, and it was really good too. So, and I haven't done a review for that on YouTube yet. I plan on it, but yeah, come to think of it, all of these books that I've read in the Nightmare Room series are pretty good. Even Camp Nowhere I read last month, I think, month before that or so. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but it was still good. Now, it wasn't, to me, in my opinion, it wasn't as good as the other ones that I've read. But to me, this is pretty close to my favorite. The only thing that I'm really mixed about is the ending. There's a twist that happens towards the end, and I had a feeling it was going to go that route, and I was kind of hoping it wasn't because I wanted it to surprise me. And it went that way, but it worked. It was fine. I was like, okay, that's good. That's kind of where I would have ended it, maybe. But then he adds a twist that has something else happen. And it kind of ends in a typical Goosebumps-y fashion, which I say that I didn't like, but it's the only thing that would have made sense if you really think about it. Without that, I think it would have ended a little underwhelming. And with that, I didn't really love it, but how else could he have ended it? I mean, there's really no way to do it. So I think he did it perfect. With that being said, I don't think it's perfect. There are some things I didn't like, and mostly towards the end. Towards the end of the book, it kind of loses its steam. But again, I'm going to be forgiving because this book takes place like 90% in this guy's house. So I kind of assumed when I first looked at this book that they were going to get invited to his Halloween party. It was going to happen like at the last page or so. And they're going to like have stuff that leads up. I thought Mr. Moon was going to be like this guy that everybody thinks is a werewolf or something. But no, that's not it at all. In fact, I would go much as so far as say the werewolves play like second fiddle to this book because really this is about Mr. Moon. Mr. Moon's insane. He is crazy. And that's not a spoiler because if you see what he does, it's crazy. His wife is just as bad, but Mr. Moon's bad. This is rough. But yeah, this was definitely a big favorite of mine. Yeah, I loved it. I love the Halloween atmosphere. I love the storyline of Mr. Moon. What's going on? It kept me engaged. I think it could have worked a little bit. I think Stein could have done a little bit something different, kind of towards the ending or towards the climax of the book or so. But it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say it was really negative. So I know that's weird, but yeah, if I had to rate this one on a 5 stars, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Very high 4 out of 5. I would so much as say, let me start that again. I would say this is closer to a 5 out of 5, but I don't think it's perfect. I don't. It's close though. I think the only thing that was holding They Call Me Creature from being a 5-star was the explanation of what was going on. It was kind of confusing, and I think it was just confusing to me. I think everybody else probably got it. So, as I said in my review on Instagram, this is going to be a hard series to rank when I get done because so far I've read actually like 7, but the first 3 I read a long time ago, and I was probably like 10, 11, and I don't remember them like at all. I watched a review for Goosebumps Completionist on Locker 13, and he got to a part where this what is it called? This Luck Master guy came up, and I was like, I don't remember that at all. So I'm definitely going to reread the first 3. And the other ones I've read were The Howler, this one, Camp Nowhere, and The Howler. And all of those were good. I mean, you guys see my review on Camp Nowhere, so right now I know where that's going to be at, but I'm not sure what the other books bring in store. But yeah, as far as that goes, this was a great book. I highly recommend it if you're looking for something scary for Halloween to read. Yeah, it's scary and gross too. This is absolutely gross. This is and the weird thing is about this book, I think that if I was younger, I don't think I would have liked it as much. And it's weird because there's 2 like twists, and younger me would have not liked it, and the other ending I would have loved. And now as an adult, I like the one ending and didn't love the second one. So it was weird. Yeah. I know that's kind of a strange analogy. If you guys read this, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for me, guys. Did you read this? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you. Bye-bye.